Hey guys, I got a comment asking for a sample deck list that utilizes the Kuriboh and that emphasizes the link package of Appaloosa and Little Knight that we're able to pull off with the Kuriboh. So this is the deck that I'm currently working on, or that I'm working with. I'll go through a card by card really quick to show you what we got, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse engineer this deck, which I think will explain the card choices. So we've got the Kuriboh, 1 Stratos, 1 Shadow Mist, triple Mali, a Denier, a Plasma, 3 Ferris, 1 Increase, 3 Vion, 3 AHL, 3 FD, Rhoda, Poly, Miracle, triple Mass Change, triple Prosby, 1 Called By, 3 Droplet, 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, and 2 Talents. In the extra, we've got Destroyer, Dangerous, Sunrise, Wake Up into Double Darklaw, Escuridal, Wonder Driver, Double Cross Crusader, Decimator, and then the Wingman package is 1 Wingman, 1 Cross Sheep, 1 Appaloosa, and 1 Little Knight. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a new deck, and I'm going to talk y'all through the card choices. So we start, of course, with A Hero Lives at 3, Fusion Destiny at 3. These are your best cards. And then we're playing 3 Vion and a Rhoda. I can't just type in Rhoda. And 1 Rhoda. Right, so these are like the best cards. And then unfortunately, even after we add Pot of Prosperity, we're still not hitting the consistency thresholds that we need. So we do have to play 3 Ferris. In the future, if we get another power spell, maybe, I would love to put this to 1. And then the Destiny Heroes we're playing Malicious at 3, and Denier at 1. And then the Garnets we have to play, the 1 Stratos. I know that sounds like so sacrilegious. I have problems with Stratos even before Kuriboh came out. The thing about this card is that once you burn your normal summon, you have no way to play through Imperm on Vion. So a lot of people think that the choke point of the deck is Stratos, but you know as a hero player that the Vion is really the choke point. And if an opponent lets you resolve this and get all the way to Vion, and then they hit you with a hand trap, that feels really bad, because the deck cannot play without polymerization, right? And if you've burned your normal, you have no way to get back to poly. So ideally, saving your normal summon for an additional Vion is going to let you play through more hand traps and let your deck become more resilient, which is an issue the deck really has. Here's the Miracle, and then the Shadow Mist is kind of the Garnet for Vion. Opening Shadow Mist is tough, but it's fine. There are alternative lines where you send Malicious instead, and then you still navigate through a Shadow Mist line, so it ends up being fine. And then triple Mass Change. The thing about this, we still have the Miracle Fusion line that gets you to Darklaw, so you can cut this to make it searchable. However, your Hero Live line and your Vion line all make DPE, and then you're presented with a decision. You can either make Appaloosa or you can make Darklaw. And if you open the Mass Change, you do not have to pick. And so I think for that reason, 3 Mass Change is really important. Let's quickly talk about this Pot of Prosperity. Okay, so a lot of people will argue that this conflicts with Liquid Soldier. I have a huge problem with that, okay? Because resolving Pot of Prosperity is strictly better than resolving Liquid Soldier, right? Even if there was nuance to that argument, which there isn't, your deck is not good enough to ask yourself that question. Your deck is not good enough to not play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. This is mandatory. And we're going to play Called By. Our deck is susceptible to Ash. And this is just an extender that can pivot into being non-engine, which is, of course, really valuable. So what is here on the screen? This is every card that is a starter and an extender maxed, and this is every engine requirement at 1. So this is really the engine. This is the hero engine. We don't play Wingman. Wingman, I think, is very good because it's a layered disruption, and because the disruption itself is so powerful. However, you have to edit this to make him, because you cannot normal summon Vion and end on Wingman. If you want to make use of the Dark Magician and the magic cylinder you're putting in your deck, you have to normal summon Stratos, right? Because this card has to resolve. Ferris has to resolve, which means your normal has to be Stratos. That probably means you have to play double increase. So you're adding literally your second copy of Gem Knight Garnet, Dark Magician, and Magic Cylinder, right? And you lose to a hand trap. Or you don't lose to a hand trap, but if you get hand trapped, then Dark Magician is just sitting in your deck, which feels really bad. It's a more fragile deck because it relies on the normal summon of Stratos. Anyway, point being, you have to compromise the integrity of this engine to play the Wingman, which is a shame because I do think it's notably powerful. I think Dark Angel is unusable because Rivalry is at 1. If Rivalry of Warlords ever came back to 3, then I think that would be mandatory, but unfortunately, no. Honest Neos is very power crept. Here's the thing that the deck actually needs, the package the deck actually needs, okay? First of all, we need to use Malicious to do other things and then still resolve Fusion Destiny. That's really important. So the deck needs an additional level 6 or higher hero. The other thing the deck wants is the deck wants a hero that is not dark and is not Stratos, to raise the ceiling of the combos, right? So when you open like everything, you can search that card to raise the ceiling. So historically, those cards, that role has been filled by Plasma as your level 6, and Liquid Soldier as your non-dark, right? Now, ideally, Kuriboh could be doing a little bit of role compression here, because if you'll notice, it is a level 6, and it's also non-dark, and it's a ceiling raiser. So if you need it, you can use Malicious for other things, and then this can be the other half of your Destroyer when you resolve Fusion Destiny, and then obviously, like you saw in the combo videos, I think this enhances your board by way more than simply drawing 2 with Liquid. And crucially, this doesn't conflict with resolving Prosperity. So I think this is sick. Tragically, I think you may still have to play Plasma. I go back and forth on this. This comes up like just enough to where it hurts to cut. If you have to combo with FD, like ideally, I would like to hold FD and use it as like an extender. If I get hand trapped twice, I can just like slam this on the table, and then DPE plus like a hand trap of my own into 3 cards is really good. But sometimes you have to start combo with this, and this is how you're playing the game. And giving DPE a running mate is really strong. Also, if your board gets broken and they don't kill you, and you can't kill them, then you need to make Plasma. Which feels bad, right? That seems like that's not enough to warrant a main deck slot, especially because it is a brick. And playing this is going to take us over 40, which feels like really bad. Because we cannot compromise the integrity of our non-engine, which is a problem I think tons of hero players have, is they just say that this part of the deck isn't important. These cards could be whatever. I think you always play 3 copies of Droplet, and I think you always play 2 copies of Talents. I think the only time this card has ever not been in my deck was when Arise Heart exactly was at the center of the format. And then the other 6, these could be breakers. This could be 6 books. Yeah, unfortunately it can't be Super Poly, which would be really cool because we don't have space in the extra deck. But like if Enemy Controller is good, I think there's an extremely strong argument to play Book of Eclipse. I think this card is nuts. I don't know what you would cut, maybe like one of these. But yeah, like 6, you have like 6 slots that you, like, I'm just like putting Ashen Imperm here, these could be whatever. Then 3 Droplet and 2 Talents to go to 42. Which doesn't feel great, but the math checks out. Your expected value for independent lines of play is over 2, which is really good. That basically means when you sit down, you can expect to play through hand trap, which is really nice, obviously. And then, yeah, that's the main. Let's take a look at the extra really quick. So, DPE is here. I guess you play him, he's good. Dangerous, and then you obviously have to play Sunrise. He makes Dark Law by going through Wake Up. This is crazy. The fact that like this makes Dark Law for free is ridiculous, but also now it makes the Wingman and lets you make the Appaloosa board. And then Dark Law. I play double. Yeah, I think you have to play 2 if you're on 3 mass change. And then you need, okay, this is gonna be interesting. You need an additional Miracle Fusion target. I think people are cutting this so that they can keep playing Absolute Zero, and that is incorrect. Obviously, I'm not playing Liquid Soldier in this deck, but even if I was, like before Kuriboh came out, I just was on Liquid in this slot, right? But I didn't play Absolute Zero. Choosing to play a card in Hero that lets you punch your opponent in the face harder instead of a card that lets you play through Nib, or Resolve random copies of Miracle Fusion when you're Dark Locked, or turn into a Dark Law, right, is wild. This card is strictly better. And that hurts me so bad to say because Absolute Zero is the GOAT, but it's just time to cut him. And then the the extra heroes, you play Wonder Driver. I would love to play 2 of this. The second Wonder Driver would give this deck like some follow-up, which would be really cool. Obviously, you need Double Cross, and then Decimator. This is really important. The fact that it's a Link 3 is really good, because sometimes you can use this to make Apo and keep everything. So, like, you can burn your Denier once per duel to make a 3-mat Apo, but you may just want to go through this guy, make a 2-mat Apo, and then keep the follow-up. That might be good enough, and I think that's really important. Also, this card invalidates, like, 6 other cards. The fact that it is 1 slot in your extra deck, requires no main deck commitment, and is so good at OTKing, like, invalidates Trinity, it invalidates Bane. It's really strong. And then the Wingman package. So we play Infernal Rage. Go peep the combo video. And then we play Cross Sheep. So this is for Link Climbing, obviously. Basically what this lets you do is this lets you keep your Denier once per duel live. And then you have Little Knight. You have to play this. Even if you don't agree with my deck and you want to play Wingman, you have to make room for Little Knight. And then Apo, obviously. But yeah, this is the deck. I think it's really good. Oh, I will say, you do have to side this. You have to side Dystopia. You put this in the side, because you have to have a win condition in time. I would love to put this in the extra deck, because I think maybe there's a world in which you put this in your extra deck and it lets you cut Plasma. Because if this is in your extra deck, then your Fusion Destiny combo ends on DPE Dystopia. It's obviously worse, but it is serviceable, like when supported with some hand traps. Yeah, I know it lets you cut this brick. I don't know though. For now, I haven't convinced myself to cut Plasma. If you are particularly attached to Liquid Soldier, there are some variants I can show you where you can keep him. And he has good cases to be played in the deck. Notably, he is by far the best normal summon the deck has on turn 3. He also makes your Plasma much better as a turn 3 option. So there is merit to playing him. If you wanted to do that, there are 2 things I recommend. One, you can cut Ashen Imperm, and you can just main the Eclipse, like we talked about. And in this, you're on 3 Prosperity plus 8 Breakers, which is like, that's fine. That's fine. Another thing you could do if you wanted to keep the Liquid is you could keep Ashen Imperm and cut the 2 talents. In that world, you would definitely side 1, because you're always siding Thrust, so you would definitely need to side into a Talents. I don't particularly like that. I think Talents is like a top 5 card in Yu-Gi-Oh!, and I think it's really important that you main 2. But you could do it. You could like put it to 1 in the main 2, if you wanted to stay at 42. But there's just like some things you could do if you wanted to keep the Liquid. I don't recommend it. I think it's worth it to streamline the deck and remove as many bricks as possible. I already talked about I'm not even really comfortable keeping the Plasma in. I think we've never seen a hero deck like this that is so streamlined, and I think you want to lean into that. But yeah, do what you will. These are just some tips that I have. Anyway, thanks for watching.